council meeting of the City of Bel Air Beach, Florida to order Wednesday, September 6th, 2017 at 5:30 p.m. If you'll all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Julie Chandler.
Present.
Councilmember Pamela Gunn.
Here.
Councilmember John Petrowski.
Here.
Vice Mayor Wanda Schreier.
Here.
Mayor Leslie Ford Notaro.
Here.
City Manager Nancy Gonzalez.
Here.
City Attorney Paul Marino.
Here.
Finance Officer Melanie Grisona. Community Services Director Lynn Reeves. And Councilmember Gerald Cohen and Mitchell Crock were unable to attend.
Thank you. The first item is the approval of the agenda. I assume that you all got the email today from Nancy that the woman who was supposed to give the presentation under item number 5 is otherwise occupied due to the hurricane. So if we remove that, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Will it be on next month's?
Yes.
Is that-
She's asked that.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Item number 2, approval of the August 7th, 2017 City Council minutes. Do I have a motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Citizens' comments. Each speaker will be recognized once and will be limited to a 3-minute presentation on any subject that is not on the agenda. Do I have anyone in the audience who'd like to comment? Yes, sir. If you come up here and give your name and address, please.
Dr. William Ward, 1199 Louise Drive. There are two things that I'd like to say. Number one, we have a missing city council lady that has not been here, I think, for about 4 meetings. I wonder what the city council and what the ruling is as far as necessary changes as far as that's concerned.
There is an ordinance that covers that. It is in our code of ordinances.
Is it in
I
order?
can't tell you off the top of my head what section it is, but there is one.
It's 4 consecutive regular council
Four
meetings.
consecutive.
Right.
Okay.
Regular council meetings. Not like workshops or special.
I understand that, I understand that. How many days you miss?
Patty?
This will be Councilmember's third regular council meeting.
Three.
Okay. Second thing I'd like to say is that I really wish that the council would consider delaying building the shed over here until we decide on the new replacement for Ms. Nancy. And let him have some input into this rather than just going ahead and spending all that money for his shed. How many years has it been since we've been out in the open like that? Since we built the building here. So, I think we could wait a little while until we could get a new city manager to replace Nancy. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience? Seeing no one, citizens' comments will be closed. Item number 4, consideration of ordinance 17-04. Paul?
Yes, ma'am. This is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Bel Air Beach, Florida, amending Section 10-174K of the City Code pertaining to setbacks and height requirements for swimming pool enclosures, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for ordinance 1704?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Is this our second or first reading on this?
This is the second. Any discussion on council? Any discussion from the audience?
Are you setting a standard for the heights and setbacks for pool enclosures?
Pardon?
Are we setting a standard for the heights and setbacks for pool enclosures? Sorry, I don't understand what the actual issue was.
It's,
Mayor,
yes.
sir, if you want to address this council, raise your hand, be recognized, and come on up here. You don't just yell out from the audience if you don't mind, please,
You
sir.
pointed to me, if you pointed at me, let me know that you're doing what I need to do.
Okay.
My name is Steve Marsh, 2250 Denali Drive. I'm sorry, I just didn't understand what we were discussing, so somebody just explained quickly. It's not attack, I just like to be informed. So is it about the height of?
It's a,
Height
as
and width
it
issue?
says, setbacks and height requirements for swimming pool enclosures.
Okay, so it's just screening enclosures.
Yeah, correct.
Awesome, thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, Patty, will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Chandler?
Aye.
Councilmember Gunn?
Aye.
Councilmember Petrowski?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Swear?
Aye.
Mayor Notaro?
Aye. Ordinance 1704 passes 5-0. Item number 5 on the agenda is removed. Item number 6, consideration of forming a committee and/or using a senior advisor from FCCMA for the city manager selection search. The committee will consist of the mayor, 2 other council members who would each nominate 1 resident to serve on the committee. Comments?
I have some comments.
Okay.
I'd like to propose to hire the senior advisors to assist in the hiring process. And also I have a question on the committee. It consists of the mayor, and I think you're going to chair the committee.
If we do one, I would think so.
And then the 2 other council members, are those appointed by the mayor?
No, I think they would be done by, shall I say, vote of the council members, take volunteers, and sort of the way we did with the ad hoc committee for the
Okay, that's what I was thinking, and I just wanted to clarify it. And then it says, who will each nominate 1 resident? Are those the council members that are appointed, or do all council members get to nominate citizens?
It's those that are, those council members that will be on the committee.
Now, is that set in, is that the standard policy? It doesn't seem very objective.
This is what was done in 2000 and, what year?
2004 and 2007, and for other ad hoc committee meetings.
Okay. Because I think on the undergrounding one, I think we all were able to nominate people to the committee. It just seems kind of biased to me and not very objective. You know, I would like to see it that all council members get to throw citizens' names in a bucket and we all vote on them. I think that would be a lot more objective.
I think the committee is necessary. I would like to suggest that we move forward on it, and that does not in any way preclude hiring the senior advisors. We can do both. So,
Okay. John, comments?
It was my understanding that the senior advisors were not charging. Okay,
We're just saying,
we're saying the higher.
is the, yeah. They get paid as much as we get paid. Any other comments? No? Okay. Should we, sorry, did you say something?
No, I'm sorry. I was looking for this resolution that's in the wrong place.
Oh.
I've been chasing all through this book looking for it. I apologize.
Okay, no problem. Okay, then, Shall we move on to the item number 7, consideration of resolution 2017-08?
Excuse me, Mayor, when do we decide who's actually on that committee? As far as council
Once we
members?
pass the resolution.
The next step.
The next,
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the mayor as the chairman. The council's going to vote on 2 other members of council.
Yes.
Okay, and then those council members and the mayor appoint the citizens. Is that correct? So the mayor appoints a citizen and the other 2 council members each get to appoint a citizen.
Yes, that's the way the resolution reads.
You know, I object to that. I don't think it's very objective. That's why I'm objecting to it. And I think I also am in support of the senior advisors because I think they bring a very objective point of view to this whole process, and that's really what I'm looking for in this process.
Any other comments? Then do we move on to resolution 2017-08?
This is resolution 2017-08, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Bel Air Beach, Florida, pertaining to the creation of an ad hoc committee pursuant to the provisions of section 2.102 of the City Code, consisting of 3 members of the City Council and 3 residents of the city, to screen applicants for the office of City Manager consistent with the provisions of section 3.01 and 3.02 of the City Charter, and to reduce the number of applicants for final review or selection by the City Council, and to establish an effective date.
We have a motion for resolution 2017-08.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Patty?
Councilmember Gunn?
no,
Councilmember Petrowski?
Yes.
Councilmember Chandler?
yes,
Vice Mayor Schwer?
Yes.
Mayor Notaro?
Yes. Resolution passes 4-1. Okay, now we need to fill in the names of the ad hoc committee. We have volunteers, nominees.
I nominate John.
If I have the time, I would love to do it. I just got a couple big contracts I'm going to be working on, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to make that many meetings. I would love to do it, but like I said, I don't know if I'll be able to come to that many meetings at a certain whatever time. I'll be working mostly in St. Pete.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Okay. Jules?
I'll volunteer.
Okay. Patty, when we did this for the undergrounding committee, do we have to do ballots?
If we did it, we would have had, we would have had more than the required number of
Well,
spaces.
at this point, we've got each member of this committee that's on this council. Now, did I get it right? It was George Chandler and Dan? Making the selection with 3 people individually.
Okay. There's nobody else to vote for, right?
There's nothing to vote for, it's what we
Okay.
want.
Right, because Councilmember Petrowski declined, correct?
Right, he can't. He said he can't.
Please speak in the microphone.
Okay.
So you're going to have, what, the mayor and 2 council people, is that correct?
Right. That's the way the ordinance is.
And we have 2 council people that volunteer.
Right. And now each member of the committee gets to recommend the name of 3 residents. I will go first and name Rob Baldwin, who has expressed an interest in helping out with this process.
Mayor, do we have names that are interested? Are we able to have those names?
Nancy's talked to some people.
I think I heard that Rudy Davis would be interested.
I have 4 names here.
Pardon?
I said I have 4 names here that have expressed an interest.
Okay.
Oh, yes, Martha Vasquez, Dr. and Mrs. Ward.
And you said you had some names?
Yeah, I've got Mark Bean, I've got Mark Goldman, I've got Nick Pavoris, Pavours, and Steve Marsh. They've all expressed an interest.
Which one do you want to pick?
So I picked one, and they're definitely on the committee.
You pick the one out of that group you want.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Mark Goldman.
And I would go with Rob Baldwin.
Okay, I already appointed him.
Oh, I can't, okay, I can't second that, okay. Rudy Davis then I think would be a perfect choice of his role.
Any other little blanks we need to fill in that? Okay. The committee is, I'll be on it, Jules, Pam, Rob Baldwin, Mark Goldman, and Rudy Davis. Thank you. Item number 8 on the agenda, consideration of extending the Bellevue Estates Island Ad Hoc Committee on undergrounding their term for existence of additional 120 days. Paul?
It's not in my book.
Um,
We didn't talk about the senior advisors.
Well, that's something that the committee will
Oh,
decide.
we'll decide here. Okay.
You have a copy of this? I don't have it in my book. What is it,
We're going to extend it for another 120 days.
okay. Just let me borrow it, please, Patty, and I'll give it right back to you.
So that what? No, it's just a,
Oh, there's no,
You'll get them.
to do it? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I stand corrected. I looked here, it's empty.
basically the city code says that ad hoc committees only go for 120 days, so we're just
Okay.
re-upping them. Do I have a motion to extend the ad hoc committee for an additional 120 days?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Want a roll call, Patty? Go ahead, roll call.
Councilmember Schindler? Councilmember Gunn?
Aye.
Councilmember Petrowski,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Schwer,
Aye.
Mayor Notaro.
Aye. So the ad hoc committee on undergrounding is extended for another 120 days. Item number 9, consideration of retaining Christopher Rowe, attorney with Bryant Miller Olive, to assist the city with the undergrounding project. Paul?
Yes, ma'am. You may recall that Chris Rowe came here and made a presentation, and he's with Brian Miller and Olive, probably the state's leading firm when it comes to governmental financing and projects like we're looking at here with this underground. He has been extremely helpful to us on almost a pro bono basis in connection with giving us the form petition, giving us the ordinance, literally. All I had to do is tailor it to Bel Air Beach. And we've reached the point where, based on the information provided at the last ad hoc committee that I attended, I was advised by the petitioner's representative that he knows he's got more than 51% of the 116 residents. Based on that, I think that was the curve point, the point where we would consider special counsel, because now the only thing you're dealing with is approving those signatures, approving the petition. I'm going to discuss the petition in a second, but approving the signatures and approving the finance methodology. Then any cost incurred by Chris Rowe will become part of the overall project, just like any of the other consultants that you're using in connection with this. So he's extremely knowledgeable. You all have met him. And I would like to see him be appointed as special counsel to this city to go forward with this project. Because I understand one of the processes he has to do is to institute an action in the circuit court for declaratory judgment, to review the process, and to have anybody in the 116 that object to this process to come forward or wherever hold their peace. It's kind of like a rule to show cause proceeding. And that's necessary to avoid any unnecessary litigation against the city for what it's doing.
Is that covered in their proposal here? I didn't read anything that sounded like that. But
Going to court?
yeah, well, yeah, maybe it's just not specific the way I was looking for it. I was just wondering if that particular function was covered. There seem to be a lot of items covered in their proposal here that may be redundant to what we've already done. But then the most important thing, I think, is what you said, the going to court and filing the declaratory judgment. And I did perceive that in the proposal here, so I want to make sure that that's clarified.
So one of the things he told me may be necessary. If it's unanimous 100% or nearly 100%, and he doesn't feel like there's any potential litigation if you come against the city, I guess you can avoid that step. But I think it's almost a necessary step. I know it's a necessary step if you're going with a bond. That's required to go to court. And have a judge review your whole bond procedure is distinguished from a loan. And I'm not sure which way the committee's going with this.
And I just want to make sure if that's part of what we're asking them to do, that we've covered it in the proposal, and that what I perceive as perhaps redundant services that they spend a lot of time on in the proposal, that he doesn't think he's going to have to go through all those steps if the work's already been done.
The one thing that I've learned about him is he does what has to be done, nothing more. I don't know what to tell you. I'm very comfortable with both the firm and with him.
So you're comfortable with the written proposal as it stands?
Yes, I am.
Have we looked into any other companies or any other services to do that other than that? I mean, they're saying budgeting up to $12,000. I think that's a lot of money.
Not when you compare it to the amount of work that may have to be done.
Are you going to be involved in helping them put this together, or is it just this we're hiring a separate entity?
Once special counsel is retained, and my intention to sort of step back and avoid the necessity of double billing.
You haven't been billing, you've been billing the committee?
Say again?
I said you've been billing the citizens group that's looking at doing the special assessment?
I've been billing the city for
Been
my
billing the
time
city
at
for
the
your time.
committee, yes.
Okay. Is that going to be passed on to the assessment?
I don't know. I'd have to ask the finance director sitting out here in the audience whether she intends to keep score on all the time that I spent in connection with this undergrounding project, and whether she intends to advise the city manager.
So, and what services have you provided?
I'm sorry?
I said, what services have you provided? At one meeting back in May, you had stated that you were not an advisor to that committee and that you worked for council.
That's right.
So how are you billing that citizens group? Are you working on their behalf?
I'm not billing the citizens group. I'm billing the city for my time.
Okay. But that's going to be passed on to the citizens that are part of that assessment.
I don't know, it's up to.
That's what I'm,
No.
that's my question.
I think his first responsibility, I'm sorry, Melanie, go ahead.
It's not up to me, it's up to council. I do track.
Can't hear.
We can't hear them.
So you said it's up to the council?
I'm just the bean counter here. I don't make the decisions. I do track all the expenses that are incurred with the undergrounding, whether it's engineering, legal fees, you name it. It's all tracked separately in our accounting, and it's up to you to decide what's going to be passed to the citizens that are part of that special assessment district. In the original, I don't know if it was an ordinance or a resolution that you passed creating the structure for that, it said any and all expenses related to the project can be passed through. So again, I keep track of it, but you all have to, you guys are the decision makers. So I will let you know what all the expenses are, and then it's up to you to make that determination.
Thank you.
And as I understood it, Paul, what Paul was saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that he is the city attorney. His primary function is to watch out for the city.
Correct. No, so if he's watching out for the city pays for those services, not the citizens in the special assessment area.
He wouldn't be being billed. He wouldn't have to, if we didn't need him there, if there was no committee, he wouldn't need to be there. So it shouldn't, in my opinion, it should not be the city that pays for that. Because it was represented to city council from the committee before a committee was
Now,
formed.
I'm not sure they asked for those services, and I believe at one point they asked to go directly to this expert attorney, and I believe the city attorneys basically said over and over again at those meetings, I don't have an expertise in this. So I don't know what expertise he's providing and billing for, adding it to the special assessment. But I think we'll talk about that down the road, I guess.
Yes.
I'll put it to you this way. Other city attorneys in situations like this would have stepped back right from the beginning and let the city councils start to absorb legal fees of $275, $300, $350 per billable hour. And what I intended to do here was to get us as close to the most difficult portion of this process under these nominal fees that are paid to city attorneys generally. And that's exactly what I did. I worked under instructions from the city manager. I worked under instructions from the city council in bringing us forward. I got Chris to give us the ordinance. You have any idea what you would have paid for that ordinance if you had to pay for it out of your pocket?
But that, you had that ordinance well before that committee was started.
Excuse me. I got the ordinance from Chris gratuitously from him. If we'd had to pay for the development of the ordinance, it would have been very expensive. I also got sample petitions from Chris.
But those are going to be used for other
Excuse me.
assessment areas. No, excuse me.
I really don't want to sit up here and argue with you about how to be a city attorney, okay? What I have done is what I've done in other jurisdictions and have done here
And I have
successfully for 20 years.
Yeah, and I have no objection to that. I have an objection to specifically billing that assessment area when that ordinance is going to be used for other assessment areas.
This will be a discussion that we can have at a later date. It really doesn't apply to whether we retain Bryant Miller or Olive. In answer to Wanda's question about the, going to court to get it, at the bottom of at the end of the second full paragraph, it talks about validation of the city's authority to issue the bond and the assessments pledged. I believe that covers the going to court.
If we're going to go the bond route,
Yeah.
as distinguished to a loan route. The most important thing to me, and I want to, while I've got this microphone, so as not to delay that process, of course I'll be away for the next 7 weeks, but that petition format needs some additional fine tuning. Number one, I think it was amended so that the person who signs also has to print their name. That's important. Number two, they need to designate whether or not they're an owner, a trustee, a guardian, or some other fiduciary. And as the appropriate authority to bind the property and to bind all those beneficiaries under a particular trust. I know that your house is in a trust, Pam. I know that Gerald's house is in a trust, and there are other houses that are in a trust. It's just a smart way to do things, to pass on property without going through any processes. But that position has to be several blocks there. Somebody checks off that says owner, trustee, guardian, or other fiduciary capacity before I'll sign off on that petition. So you might tell your husband if he wants to amend that petition, I'll be more than glad to sign.
The issue before the council right now is consideration of retaining Christopher B. Rowe to assist the city with the Bellevue Estates Island undergrounding project. Do I have a motion for retaining Christopher Rowe?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
No,
We want to do a roll call?
don't we're not having any discussion on that?
Pardon?
I have a couple of questions.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought we were done.
No, I was waiting and then I didn't want to interrupt you while you were doing that. Paul, you had talked about forever holding their peace. That phrase that Christopher Rowe used, if that's a likelihood, then there's a likelihood that there could be lawsuits. Can you explain that a little bit more to me? I'm not quite clear on that.
If it is determined by council that there may be individuals out there who are so vehemently opposed to this project that they're ready to go to court, the best defense is a good offense, and you go in and you go ask for a declaratory judgment to resolve the issues and cut off that individual's opportunity to sue the city. That's the kind of action we're talking about, if necessary. If all these folks sign on and there's no objections and people aren't getting lawyers and put us on notice of an intent to file suit because we haven't followed the statute, we haven't followed the ordinance, or we haven't done this, or we haven't done that, and the representations were wrong, they were puffy representations in the backup material, anything you can imagine people will come up with, lawyers will come up with, to block a project. So sometimes it may become necessary to go in for a tech action. I think the mayor can appreciate where I'm coming from with this as a lawyer.
Basically,
Okay.
you were getting in the judge, you show petitions and all that stuff, and the judge says, you did it right, you got enough people,
Go.
it's done.
Okay, now shouldn't we know for certain that we have 51% before we go hiring an attorney? That's my other concern.
I think we need to work on.
Let me just say this, since I'm going to be away, I ask that y'all just approve retaining him.
Okay,
The actual start of Chris is a different issue.
okay.
I want to see, first I want to see the petition modified. Secondly, I want to see, definitely like to see 51%, then we can cut him loose. Then we're ready to go. Then he's going to be working with the financial side of it, he's going to work with whatever, the special engineers, or whoever you can retain.
Okay, I would agree with that as long as there's no cost to the city for that, just for the record.
And excuse me, I have received the petition. I have, viewed it, looked at it. So the first thing would be to send that to Chris Rowe.
Thank you.
So we have a motion
May I speak as a citizen?
Pardon?
May I speak as a citizen?
You
Well,
can
Mr.
speak,
Marino.
yes.
Dr. William Ward, Louisa Drive. I have had a conversation with Mr. Marino before, and he was very clear, and he did a good job explaining his job at the city council. His job, he told me, was to advise the city council. In other words, if it goes further than advising the city council, he told me that he would not be involved in any suits or anything like that. He was suggesting Mr. Rowe, and I heartily suggest we hire Mr. Rowe to protect the city and protect all the citizens in case something comes up. And I recommend Mr. Marino's advice.
I'd like to just qualify that. Yes, I'm an advisor to the city council, but that doesn't preclude me from defending any litigation that might come up that this council is confronted with or instituting any litigation that may be necessary within the four corners of my own expertise in that particular discipline or subject matter, if not me go out and get special counsel. That's the way most city attorneys work. We don't have the luxury here of having 5, 6, 7 city attorneys, each of whom have specific expertise in various disciplines in the operation of a municipality. We are like one-man shops. We must know everything. We're
Okay.
encyclopedia.
Thanks, Dr. Ward. Okay, Patty, do you want to call the roll?
Councilmember Petrowski.
Aye.
Councilmember Chandler,
Aye.
Councilmember Gunn,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Schwer,
Aye.
Mayor Notaro.
Aye. Nancy, you'll take care of.
Yes, I will get the petition to Chris Rowe tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Item number 10, request City Council's approval to award bid B1703 for drainage improvements to 2nd Street and Harbor Drive. Lynn?
This is part of our, Mayor and Council, this is part of our stormwater projects that we did the master plan on last year. We got 4 bids, and a copy of that's in your packet. We had 2 bids within $120 of each other, which makes the bids a little more viable when they're that close. We had one bid that was $340,000, another one was $201,000. But I'm recommending that the low bidder was Kaminga Road Votes in the amount of $185,771.25. And this is replacing the piping on 2nd Street, doing new curbs, milling the road, and then repaving. And we'll get some larger piping and putting a check valve in that system for 2nd Street. Any questions?
What do you know about this company as opposed to the others? Are they like 5-star rated? Or?
They're both, the first and second are both good companies. So
Have you ever used any of them before?
I personally haven't used Kaminga or the other one, but I know some people that have, and I've talked to
Been
them.
happy with them?
And they said you could go either way with either one of them. And they were the low bidder. And actually, they came to the pre-bid meeting. The others, other than Loop Construction, which is the high bidder, didn't come. So they're well aware of the project that came on site.
I was remiss. I did not go back to the original engineering document. How do these bids relate back to the estimate that the engineers gave us?
They're about $40,000 over. And,
Percentage-wise, that's...
well, and I spoke to the engineer about that, but all the contracts are coming in higher. And I think part of that is the economy right now. There's a lot of projects out there. If you look at the last bidder, he's got 2 projects right now with us, and he bid $340,000. I don't really think he was interested in bidding them, but he at least gave us a bid. So there is a 5% contingency in there, which is about $10,000. And I think everyone knows about me and contingency, so I'm not too willing to give them up unless it's an emergency. Any questions?
Vice Mayor asked the same question. Her initial question was the same that I was going to ask about the two companies, so you answered that.
Any other questions?
They're contracting, they're doing the other work for
They're
us
doing
now.
the Harrison Bridge right now. Just to give you a quick update, we've grouted the voids on both sides of the bridge. Currently, right now, we're getting ready to, on the south side of the bridge, the concrete's been cut away, to re-pour it, to put the wing walls on. And the concrete company that's doing it is a sub. I spoke to them yesterday, and they're going to probably wait till next week because of the weather situation. But they were out there. And hopefully, as soon as we get the wing walls up, then we're done with it. We've got some repaving to do. So far, so good. The seawalls were rebid. Might as well tell you that too. And they did come in lower, so that's a good thing for us.
Now, I guess it doesn't pertain to this, that's good, okay.
Any other questions?
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the bid to Kaminga in Rudvos?
It's so moved.
Second.
Patty, you want to roll? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Item 11, update on code enforcement. Mr. White.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, everybody else. Just to give you a brief update, in the past several months, of course, we've had an increase in the people renting their places short term. We've been able to navigate around all of the shenanigans that they were doing, such as listing their property in another city. Like we had one individual that was putting his property on VRBO and had the address as the city of Indian Shores. So if we went on our computer and were looking, for a property for a short-term rental in Bel Air Beach, we wouldn't find it. We've ended up, charging that individual with about, I think it was 4 or 5 counts, and taking about $2,500 of his money. And so we kind of have eliminated the short-term rentals for right now. And, we're still reviewing and following up on leads, whenever we get one from someone. There's still a lot of things being listed on different sites like VRBO, and they can list them all they want to, but until they, physically do have a lease and I can make contact with a person, there's not really a whole lot we can do about that. But just to let you know that, we're staying on top of it as best we can. The next item is something that I've spoken to our city attorney about the notice to abate, which is section 2235 of the city code. In the past month or so, Lynn and I have been speaking and about doing abatements for properties that have kind of been let go by the owners. Just to enlighten you on that, most of the places that were considered for being abated are non-residents that live outside the city. So they purchased these properties maybe as an investment or whatever, but they've shown to me that they're not good neighbors to the people that live here all the time, and they think that they can just buy a property and let it sit and let it look bad, and we're not going to do anything about it. Like I said, most of them don't live in the city that we've considered abating. I sent out 5 letters this past month, and as of right this minute, all 5 of them have come into compliance, because I don't know if some of y'all are aware of this or not, but when you do an abatement on a property, if the people don't comply, and another thing, since they don't live here, there's not a homestead on that property, and we can attach a lien to the property, and we can send our people out, once the abatement time frame has been met, we can send our city employees out, do what needs to be done to the property, bill the owner of the property, and if the owner doesn't pay the bill, then automatically a lien is placed on the property. And nobody wants to have that done, so everybody is in compliance right now. The good thing about this also is that once you abate a property, even though they've complied the one time for a period of 1 year, if the property is not up to code or whatever during that 1 year period, we don't have to contact them really anymore. I mean, I would, as a courtesy, make contact with them and tell them, to fix it, or we were going to do it, within a day or two. But we don't really have to even contact them anymore during that year period of time. We can go on the property and do what needs to be done and send them a bill and be done with them. And right now, what we're running into, it's really not much to ask. The Section 2235 stipulates that we allow 15 days before we can take any kind of action. And I just wanted to let you know that people that live here are really, they don't apparently understand how, code enforcement works. It's kind of, a time-consuming thing. By the time I leave a notice on the door, that's 5 days, and you send a notice of violation and give them, according to this section, you've got to give them 15 days. On all of our other code violations, especially if they're repeat people, I normally give them 5 days, because they've already been given notice or been asked to take care of the problem. And what the city attorney and I have spoken about is changing the time frame from 15 days to 5 days. Because by the time it's gotten to the point that we are even considering abating the property, 3 weeks to a month have passed. And so it's not like we're blindsiding anybody, or rushing them or anything. They've already had plenty of time, to take care of the problem once the grass has already got 2 or 3 feet tall, So I ask that the city council and Ms. Marino can expound on it more, but it would be a help to us and a help to the people that are complaining to me about so much time passing, you know, because people get impatient. And I wouldn't want the neighbor beside me to have, you know, grass 3 foot tall, you know, because I keep my place manicured, and it just, you know, the properties that are in this city, for the most part, are kept immaculate, and people take pride in their home ownership. It keeps your property values up and everything else. Like I said, most of the violators are from out of state, and they don't care about your property. You know, they just want to get by as cheap as they can, you know, until they turn the property over or do whatever they're going to do with it. So I'm just going to ask that this city council consider changing from 15 days to 5 days after they receive the notice to get it done.
Thank you.
Can you explain, okay, when you abate property, can you explain how that procedure happens, and is there a cost to the city for doing that?
No, sir. Okay, 2235, the notice to abate is whenever the city manager, building official, or any authorized agent becomes aware or finds that any one or more of the prohibited conditions set forth in 2233 exist, or the owner of any developed or vacant land parcel or tract of land within the city fails to keep such premises in compliance with the standards set forth in 2234, it's the duty of the city manager to give notice as provided herein, requesting and directing the owner or owners of such property to remedy the condition within 15 days after service of such notice. A statement that the notice will be given only once for a period of 1 year from the date of the initial notice, and any other instances of the same violation occurring pursuant to this article shall be remedied by the city without further notice, and the cost plus an administrative fee shall be imposed as a lien upon the violator's property.
I just wondered, like, this property that was over here in the corner,
Yes, sir?
you know, that's grass took forever to get them to cut it or whatever.
That's why I'm asking to cut this from 15 to 5 days. I was on the phone with the person that is supposed to be taking care of that property. Once again, it's owned by I call them a flipper. They buy a house, you know, or an investor, if you want to be nice. But, you know, I called, oh yes, I'm going to have somebody there next week, and next week, and next week don't ever get here. And so, you know, I sent them the letter, you know, a violation, and nothing got done until I sent them the notice of abatement. And if you're planning on selling that property and you don't bring it into compliance, and the people from our city go out there and cut your grass, they're going to charge you probably $150 plus a $250 administrative fee. And so when I start going in your wallet, then all of a sudden, you know, people show up and cut the grass for some reason or another. And so I'm just, you know, trying to cut the time frame down. You know what? It's in place. The ordinance is in place. I was just sure of the time frame. And maybe Mr. Marino, Esquire, can explain all that better than I can.
Is there a set amount that we charge? Is there anything on the books? If we had to go in and cut that grass for them,
We charge by the hour and by whatever equipment is used, because, you know, if you've got a quarter of an acre lot that needs to be cut, of course you talk about maybe 2 man hours or whatever plus the equipment that's used. But if you've got an acre or, you know, or whatever, and other things need to be done, that varies, and it will be charged by the hour plus whatever equipment the city has to utilize to bring it into compliance. So it would vary.
And we
Oh,
do like a set amount and say, make it more, tougher for them to not get up and do it. You charge them like a $500 flat rate. That help them to comply.
Then it becomes a tax, Joe.
That one.
You can't impose a lien or fine, because then it becomes punitive instead of remedial, and you can't do it. The courts will throw them out when they're punitive.
The punitive would be or similar to punitive would be the administrative fee or whatever, the $250 assessment. Because that's in addition to whatever
They charge to
whatever
the
the
work.
charge. So it's not going to be, a cheap thing anyway. As a matter of fact, say if there was a fence that had to be removed and, the grass cut or this or that, it could easily be $250, and then plus the $250, you're talking $500 anyway,
Is, when you say by the hour,
Yes, ma'am.
when you say by the hour, what we pay our maintenance people to cut, what I'm thinking is maybe we could charge overtime because I would think it would be quicker to just cut it ourselves than to wait and wait and wait, and I agree with the 5 days. I would think that, number one, that would be quicker to just do it and bill them. But number two, we shouldn't be utilizing our maintenance workers who are, it should be, they should be getting overtime and being charged, the homeowner should be charged for their overtime because it should be after their duties are able to be performed for the city.
Well, see, don't misunderstand this. The hourly rate, when I speak of the hourly rate, our city services director and city manager established an hourly rate. And when I say that, it's not what the employees get paid.
Okay.
That includes workers' comp, hospitalization, whatever benefits that they got are built in. Say if a person's making $20 an hour, it would be 40 or 50 an hour to cover the cost of that employee. So the city's not going to lose any money. The city's not going to make any money. In actuality, it's an expense that, the city incurs with each employee that we have.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions for Jed? Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
And we move on to item 12, consideration of ordinance 1706. Paul?
Yes, ma'am, this is ordinance 1706, which is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Bel Air Beach, Florida, amending section 2235 pertaining to notice of date nuisance posting of property and appeals, providing for severability and providing for effective date.
Do I have a motion for ordinance 1706?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? We have it? Okay. Patty?
Councilmember Petrowski,
Aye.
Councilmember Gunn,
Aye.
Councilmember Chandler,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Schwer,
Aye.
Mayor Notaro.
Aye. Ordinance passes 5-0. Item 13, request City Council's approval to advertise for bid for the digital monument sign. Lynn?
Okay, Mayor and Council, this is the digital sign that we've been talking about for several months. We sent it to the Barry Island governmental group. They recommended approval with this project and the street lighting at the marina also. What's enclosed in your packet is the conceptual drawings and the engineering stuff that we need to send out for bid. That was done by the sign company. They creative sign designs, and they gave us an estimate, which was $78,581. It'll come in below that because when you get an estimate, you want to make sure you got everything covered. So where we go out to bid competitively, Nancy and I met with who were projecting for the lighting of the digital. It's a company called Watchfire. They brought out a truck, and it was amazing to see, and we're looking for the 10 millimeter, and they come in like 1 foot squares, so if something happens to one, they can replace it instead of having to replace the whole digital sign. But the difference in 10 millimeter, 12 millimeter was actually a great difference. And then you looked at a 17 millimeter, I think the other one was 19? Is that the highest one? When you look at something from a distance, the clarity at 10 was tremendous. So what I'm recommending is we advertise for bid for the 10 millimeter specifications to, utilize Watchfire's digital design, and whatever sign company comes in with the best price that can produce the sign, then that's where we'll go. Any questions? And it will be paid for with Gulf Boulevard beautification funds.
And this design for the sign is similar to or the same as what we're doing for our city entrance monuments?
It's close but not exact.
Close enough that it's recognizable. So
right. And you got some color pictures there. Yours, no, they didn't come out color. Well, I'm sorry for that, but we still have the option to pick the colors a little better, because that's an option. It is set for a wind speed also, because I know somebody will ask, 140 miles an hour. Hopefully we don't have 180, but I think it'll be a nice enhancement to crossing, and we'll go out to bid. We're still on hold with the mast arm for them to decide how they're going to fix it, so we don't want to do anything there until that's done.
Do we have any kind of example of how this sign will be situated on the property? I'm still having a hard time conceptualizing that.
Well, what we're going to put in the bid is them to conceptualize for the best viewing the sign company, because they know more about that than we would do. And we would look at that angle and make sure the sign is the best for visibility. I mean, they put these signs up everywhere and tell them, where exactly should you put it? Should you turn it this way? But the most bang for our buck is to make sure we get it, probably distance-wise, is get it onto the Gulf Boulevard side. But if you make a right turn, you're going to see it. If you're in the left turn lane coming south, you're going to see it. If you're in the right lane or going straight, you're going to see it. So those are the angles we want to make sure we get covered.
Yeah, it's not a perfect scenario the way that corner is.
Right.
So it's going to be a tough placement.
Right,
for everybody to.
And that's part of the reason I want to make sure the mast arm situation is resolved. But it doesn't preclude us from going ahead and bidding this and using the Gulf Boulevard.
Yeah, putting the mast up, we got to make sure it's not going to interfere with the site.
Right. And we will have to do some modifications to the landscape plan for that corner, because on the Causeway Boulevard side, there's a tree like halfway into the park. It's going to have to be modified. So we still need to make sure that clear site. And I've talked to the landscape architect, and we'll work on that once we.
Would a two-sided sign be twice as much money? Or?
No, well, it is two-sided. It's a two-sided sign.
Oh, so you could read it from both sides?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Oh, I thought it was just one side, that's why I was wondering. Oh, okay.
It's double-sided, that's why we want to make sure we get the best viewing for it. Any questions?
Do I have a motion to approve to advertise the bids for the sign?
So moved.
Second.
Yes, sir?
Before we vote, please?
Yes? Matt?
Good evening, Council. Mark Goldman, 437 22nd Street. I haven't been privy to the design and any any of the previous work that has been done for the sign. I just want to make a suggestion to the city council to eliminate what may become a very pressing issue for the council, is that the introduction of some electronic digital sign into an environment that has historically had none of this type of advertisement allowed anywhere within the city limits for any purposes may be found offensive by some of the residents. So tonight I'm just asking you and urging you to, once the design is complete, before the purchase agreement is signed, that in some manner we make all of the residents available to see this design and to give them a chance to speak to whether or not we even want something of this nature within the city limits. It really goes against anything else we have. I'm not saying that it can't be done in a way that enhances the beauty of the city, but without us actually seeing it as residents, I think we're opening up ourselves for what possibly could be some real unhappy people if we don't make everybody aware of it before we commit to spend this money. So I urge you to figure out a way to share this experience with the residents before we sign a contract to have this put into motion.
But let me give you a little background. One of the reasons we're looking to do this is that we've had people say that the sign here at City Hall isn't readable. It's too small, it's, you know, that it's not readable. So this is, to a certain extent, to alleviate that problem.
And I understand it and I appreciate it, and I find that reading that existing sign, sometimes coming by, you don't really have enough time, even going 30 miles an hour, to catch the nuances of everything there. I think that the question at hand here is, would an electronic sign be more effective in that location, not something that is visible to every car in a digitally electronic version that's driving up and down Gulf Boulevard. So
another reason we thought about putting it there is that we can get the big C and the penny for Pinellas money to pay for it.
well, I don't doubt that that's a motivation, because I would be motivated the same way. I think my main emphasis here is that I don't want to see us get into an issue where we have so many unhappy people who feel as if we've commercialized the city and what's going on here. So I'm just asking that we figure out a way to get people's opinions on this before we actually to commit to such a sizable amount of money as well for this. That's my comment.
Okay, so we've got a motion to approve to advertise for the sign. Do you need a roll call for this, Pat? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Mayor and council comments.
We have this other resolution we have to,
Nancy's going to talk about it briefly during city manager
no, okay.
comments.
I just want to make sure everybody stays safe. If that, you know, keep watching your weather channel and take warning. If it's coming this way, you need to leave. So be careful.
Jules?
Miraculously, no.
Pam?
I just want to add to what John said. For those of you who don't know, the Pinellas County Emergency Management Agency has a website with a lot of good information on it. Plus, if you have a smartphone, you can sign up for an app at Alert Pinellas at pinellascounty.org/alertpinellas. There's a number of links in here. I'll give this to Nancy. There's also an app from FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. It's storm preparation tips, shelter maps, and maps of disaster recovery centers. Evacuation routes on Florida FL511.com, and then shelters at floridaevacuees.com. So 2 Red Cross apps for people, to aid people who have pets. And there's some really good links out there. And there's something else called Neighbor Bel Air, or Bel Air Neighbor. That's an interesting app that Pinellas County's been posting a lot of this information on. But these are good apps to have on your phone for situations like we're in right now.
I have one other question. Is there any place, if someone needs assistance, is there a number they can call other than the police? Do we have a number that someone can call?
Are you talking about special needs people?
Well, not only that, just anyone, if something should happen that they also need some help, is there a certain number they can just call?
I'm not sure what kind of help you're talking about as far as
just
the
anyone.
hurricane or the sheriff's office or
Yeah, well, just, no, for hurricane.
for the hurricane, Pinellas County Emergency Management.
Okay.
That's probably on the county's website.
Right. And it's on our website as well. And we have a lot of links on our website to county.
Okay.
Okay, last month I attended the Florida League of Cities meeting in Orlando. It was a very interesting meeting. The real, shall I say, focus this year of the Florida League of Cities with the folks up in Tallahassee is, we used to be called home rule, now it's let cities work. And the new president of the Florida League of Cities has taken this as his goal, his focus for the year. We had some home rule issues last year in Tallahassee and fear there may be some more home rule issues this year, so it's really the focus that they're going to be looking at. Nancy's going to talk about the emergency management thing. You all know that we've got next Monday at 5:05, we've got the budget hearing.
And these are your budget books, so make sure.
What about a rain date for that?
Check.
We don't have a rain date yet.
Rain?
Rain, wind, whatever.
Yeah.
Surge.
Stay tuned. Paul?
I don't have anything other than working with Nancy on this resolution that she's about to present to you all. But as I mentioned in previous meetings, October is going to be the meeting, the one meeting a year that I'll be missing. But I am available to come back. I was scheduled to fly out on Friday, but I'm deciding to drive out on Thursday. I hope it's not a mistake. In case I have to do a turnaround and come back if you all need me for anything.
Okay, this resolution was emailed to you and I provided you with a copy for that. Lynn and I have been participating in telephone calls from Pinellas County Emergency Management twice a day. Those calls come at 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. updating us on Hurricane Irma. We attended a meeting today at the Suncoast Fire and Rescue District. The county really, of course, I'm sure you know by now, there are no schools in Pinellas County tomorrow or Friday, but the emergency management is, they're just monitoring. There's really, you know, it looks like it's going more to the east, which is a good thing for us. The real critical point will probably be Friday evening, just before it takes a turn. And none of us will probably know until we wake up Saturday morning exactly where it's going to go. But if it stays easterly, we would probably have a storm surge of maybe no more than 6 feet. That's what they're telling us today. But again, like I said, we're talking to them twice a day, subject to change. But both telephone calls today were pretty much exactly the same, turning eastwardly, which was good. This resolution, I talked to Paul about this. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., the Board of County Commissioners are going to be meeting on Hurricane Irma. And I feel pretty certain that they will declare an emergency for Pinellas County. And in order not to have to call a special meeting to have a resolution, if that does happen, I wanted to have this and let you see it. Of course, we've got to fill in the blanks. I've got the executive order, but I would need to get whatever resolution number or executive order the Board of County Commissioners need. And just wanted a consensus that if we need it, but I guarantee you we're not going to need it, that you would give a consensus that the mayor could go ahead and sign the resolution.
I just want to add one point. This is a form that I prepared some years ago to be used by the city in the event that I wasn't available to put together a formal resolution. It's kind of like a fill-in-the-blank situation. So, Patty corrected it. Thank you, Patty.
I'll just very briefly read the title to you. Resolution of the City Council of the City of Bel Air Beach, Florida, pertaining to a declaration of emergency as a result of the effects of Hurricane Irma and establishing an effective date.
I guess we need a consensus that if they do declare an emergency, that I can go ahead and work with Nancy and sign this and get it filled in, so it will be official.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Everybody's got their sandbags and reentry passes, and stay safe.
One thing, Nancy, you gave it to me, but could you give council the update on the mast arm?
We really don't know. I mean exactly how long it's going to be. I did call the county when I saw the latest traffic advisory saying that the project would not be ending until December 18th of 2018. And I called the gentleman, he said, well, I'm sure it's a typo, but the next week it was still the same. There was damage done to FiOS equipment, is that correct, Lynn? And what they're doing now is one location where they were going to put a mast arm, they're not going to be able to put it there, and they're just looking at where else to position it. So I'm sure they're back to engineering. So it could still be several months away, but it will be done. It's just been delayed.
Will they be taking down their announcement board? Because you can't read it anymore. The pixels are burned out.
I may check with the county, maybe Tom Washburn, and see if he knows any more when they may start again. But like I said, I think the holdup is they're probably looking at some more engineering plans.
Or change the dates, because it's still,
Yes.
it's hard to read. It's not readable.
There's 3 bulbs that are still working though.
Three out of several hundred in the flash.
All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.